Hello and welcome to the Foxy Bros podcast. I am your host, Noah Fox, aka Foxy. This is the show where we talk about different topics and see where the conversation takes us. And I am joined today by horror enthusiast and straight up nerd coming all the way straight out of Kanto. How are you doing?
Hi, Foxy.
Hello.
Woo. What's the crack?
Nothing, not much. Just trying to keep myself busy and sane during this time.
Very important.
Like yourself, you're keeping yourself very busy over the last while, I've noticed.
I am indeed. I think Straight Outta Kanto has probably been busier with the global pandemic and the world shut down than when I had to go to my day job every day and attend to things. Now it's like I can completely closet myself away in my little golem cave, just completely focusing on taking Straight Outta Kanto to strange new places.
Strange and unknown. To boldly go where no one has gone before, so to speak.
Well, that's the plan, you know?
Yeah, how are you finding doing the podcast? I don't know, because I'm still new to this myself, but how are you finding it?
It's definitely been an experience. It's been kind of because with Straight Outta Kanto, it kind of came about in 2018 in the springtime because I did, there was a convention called ShuriCon that I was involved with. And I was they had this gym leader challenge where there was 8 different people who were specific to the convention for being a dragon gym leader or a fighting gym leader, blah, blah, blah. And I was the dragon gym leader. And I remember just having such a good time that day. I'm this is what I want to do with my life. I just want to hang around at conventions, chatting to people, playing Pokemon, meeting like-minded people. I want to do that for a living. How can I do that? And then I was okay, well, first stop is get a blog. Okay, so that's how I started Straight Outta Kanto, the blog. And I'm okay, that's all right. It doesn't give you the same interaction as, talking to people and stuff, but it was a starting point. And then the next step after the blog was I was okay, well, everything I'm writing down here would actually be good notes for a panel. So what if I try my hand at doing panels? So then I started going from the blog to the panels. And then they kind of took off. And then last year at JCon in Croke Park, which I actually really hope comes back this year, because it's in November normally, so there's time for them to sanitize and socially distance us all before then.
It's still a little airborne. It's still good. It's still good.
It's still good. JCon is still coming back, but then at JCon last year, because I'd done JCon panels the last few years in a row, which was a bit wild to go from never having done a panel before to being in a packed out room in Croke Park where you get a standing ovation at the end. Was oh, okay, this is great. Definitely
I like
get
this.
used to this. I know, wow. And it all started for me just going, I just want to talk about Pokemon 24/7 with people. So then I remember I kind of got to JCon a bit late and some of the events were a bit over, are coming to an end. And I'm oh God, I'm just wandering around on my own. I remember I went to a sake tasting, got completely wasted before my panel. And I was right, I'll go sit in on the panel just before mine. And I remember getting really triggered in the panel before mine because I'm this is just a bunch of nerds talking about Japanese horror. This is awful. My panel's on directly after them and it's about Japanese horror. But then it turned out that the panel I was sitting in on before mine was the Nerd to Know Media panel. And then that just completely escalated because now we've completely joined forces. And because I was working with Christmas FM last year and Nerd to Know Media do a podcast and other radio station things as well, they were okay, well, if you're into the radio thing, why don't you do a podcast under us? And this was literally, I think New Year's Eve or New Year's Day or something. I was being interviewed for them on their show and they're do you want to do a podcast with us? And I'm me do a podcast on my own, duh.
Are you sure you're asking the right person?
Literally, it was just I was oh my God, because it was just oh yeah, we got to collaborate on something. Oh, we'll interview you for the show. I'm yeah, that's deadly. And then it was do a show, and now it's not just them and then me. There's other people who've joined the team, and they're all getting their own shows together now. So now Nerd to Know Media isn't just one entity on its own with Straight Outta Kanto. It's now this giant umbrella of a nerd network station, and it's it's really weird because now it's gone from podcasts and radio shows to Twitch streams and the whole YouTube thing. So it's really weird. It kind of is slow to start, but it's all going up a ladder, if you get me.
Yeah, it's starting to pick up the pieces are starting to fall into place so to speak.
Yeah, and everything's kind of advancing really well. So
Well, obviously, it's because it's being done by people who are very passionate about like the particular subjects that they're covering, whether it be in their shows. Like, for in your case, probably like with the Pokemon, and for other people, it'll probably be like comics or anime or otherwise. Dunno, so like, there's a wide, wide umbrella, so to speak, of nerd culture.
that's it, exactly. And the passion thing is very important because it's like everything that you know yourself, like everything that's being done with Straight Outta Kanto or say Nerd to No Media is being done in people's spare time, on
Mm.
their free time, on their downtime, on their weekends. And like we've all got families, we've all got commitments, we've all got other things we could be doing. And at the end of a hard day, particularly for myself when I was on my own, before I joined up in Nerd to No Media, when it was just me writing panels or just me doing the blog, coming home after like on a Friday night after like work, a week of work, exhausted in retail, being asked to, can I speak to your manager? No, you cannot speak to my manager. The coupon's expired, and having to like go, now I'm going to write a blog post that nobody's probably going to read. That's going to require hard work and thinking about things and researching things and stuff. It's so hard now. It's a bit easier now that we're all in this lovely little bubble where we're all kind of bouncing off each other and supporting, but it you have to be dedicated to making it happen. It is easier with other people, but it still requires work. Because you know yourself, even if you're planning a group chat to like meet up with people at the weekend, everybody's like, yeah, let's do something, let's do something, let's do something. But then having to go, okay, well, what are we doing? How are we going to make this happen? Who's going to book the taxis? Who's going to, kind of, you still need that drive. Like,
Yeah, you need to be like fully on board with what you're doing in the sense that like, all right, then if I'm doing this, then I'm doing it my way. I'm doing it like how I want to present it. Any ideas I have, I'm gonna try them out. What works, I'll keep. Then what doesn't, then I can take out as I go.
yeah, exactly. It's just it's all a thing, and it's funny because I was just watching One Punch Man literally before I came on air with you, and it's really funny because he's there describing his training process, and he's like, and I have to do this every day, and I'm like, but what's the harm in just taking one day off? And he's like, I can't do that, and I'm like, that's me as a podcaster, man, that's me. It's just like you're like, no, I don't want to sit for the next 72 hours in front of a bunch of audio on my own. I want to like go sit by the canal with a big bag of cans, but then a show won't get done, and then that'll mess up the schedule, and then that'll let other people down. So it's all kind of, it's been a bit of a weird one trying to think of it as a job that you don't get paid for,
Yeah,
but still have to keep the kind of responsibilities and commitments too.
it's like with a lot of us, we all find our own passion projects, like,
Mm,
and that's like the Straight Outta Kanto, like starting as a blog was obviously your passion project, which grew to being eventually like panels and then a podcast. But even before that, like just to like delve in a bit, like the fact that like before you even done that, like obviously you started out as a big nerd, but you're also into your horror and did your own horror themed like Pokemon artwork as well as panels. So like
yeah.
how did that come about? Like, don't know.
Okay. Well, basically, I'll bring it back to 1999. Britney Spears' "Hit Me Baby One More Time" drops. I watch it for the first time, and it's like, that's it forever. All I want to do is music. So that was literally like my musical awakening when I saw Britney Spears' "Hit Me Baby One More Time," and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna be a musician. I want to do music forever. This is brilliant. Like I always was very musical anyway, but I was like, no, I have to do this as a career. This is brilliant. But it's a bit like, because I'm such a weirdo, everything that I did musically or even artistically, it just was spooky. It was messed up. I had a lot of school psychiatrists getting involved, asking, "Okay, so Lisa's auditioned for the Christmas concert. Why? Because everything would be horror themed. It was just like like I was one of those kids who'd be like sneaking Goosebumps from the school library and reading them like under the like duvets by the light of the like little, those little Nintendo things, the little lights for the Nintendos. I used to
Yeah.
attach that to my Goosebumps books and read them in the dark and all. And then when I got older and I saw more movies, and then it kind of advanced, then I got into more extreme horror movies, then I got into the Asian stuff and the Korean stuff. And so as I was getting older, I was like, right, I'm going to be a musician. It's going to be horror themed, very niche, but it was going well. Got signed to Undead Artist label, record label. They're really cool. They're this German label. Johnny, he's a really cool guy, and lots of horror themed music, CDs, gigs. Was really it was really cool because it lended itself really well to the kind of neo horror burlesque scene that was going on at the exact same time that I left college and started doing gigs. So I was always able to incorporate like this cabaret noir kind of burlesque thing to the music as well as just kind of standing there. Oh, hi, I've got a guitar. I'm just going to sing for you a bit. Like, so it's all been kind of that. And then with the music, I was like, oh, I'm gonna need some artwork for the album, or oh, wouldn't it be cool to do like some promotional pictures and stuff? And then I was like, oh, but I don't really like anybody else's art. I'll just draw it myself. And then that was really creepy and horror filled. And I'm like, hey, wouldn't it be funny if I applied this to Pokemon? And then I started drawing like horror Pokemon pictures. And I was like, oh, I've got a gig at like a convention. They've given me a table. I'll just like have a few free prints of my like Pokemon horror at it for the crack and see how that goes. And then, as Ron Burgundy says, like, that escalated quickly.
I think that was actually like when we first met, like
Yeah,
at that
it
particular
was.
one. That was
Yeah, I can't remember what it was called. It was out like on the Red Cow place.
yes, it was definitely like where we first met, because like I remember
Oh yeah.
getting some of your artwork from you, and
Yeah.
like I had it at home for ages, but then I decided to like tweak it, and I
Yeah.
randomly
I
like
remember
sent
that.
you a picture of it. So I was
I
like, I
know.
hope you like it. Then I tweaked it a little bit.
Yeah. That was so random though, because that's another one of those things where it's like, who would have known like that me doing that, right? And then you just getting one of those three pictures, and now we're actually like friends years later, and we
Yeah,
both have our own shows. Like, it's so cool. It's so weird to think of it like that, because it's like because especially when you're a creative person, it's always very easy to go, what's the point of this? Why should I do this? Because you actually don't know like where these things are going to lead. Like, because if I hadn't like done that convention at ShuriCon, actually, you know what? Going way back, if I hadn't like started going to conventions in general, then I never would have set up the Pokemon Fan Club Ireland Facebook group. And then I wouldn't have started going to other conventions from that. Then I wouldn't have started meeting other people. Then I wouldn't have started volunteering and participating in conventions. Then I wouldn't have done the blog, wouldn't have done the panels. If I hadn't done the panels, I wouldn't have met the guys who I'm now doing the radio shows and the conventions and all the big YouTube stuff with. So it's all, you have to kind of do everything, because even if it's hard to see at the time, stuff does lead to places.
yeah. You don't realize that like one small gesture or one small like encounter could like actually
Oh,
like,
Squirtle picture.
yeah, like they're just intertwined at different points. Like,
Yeah.
because I've talked to a couple of people, then I like, and it's scary how it's like the recurring theme that we've crossed paths, just never like full on like talked or introduced ourselves to each other until later on down the line.
Yeah. But see, I think part of that is also the fact that Ireland is tiny and the Irish nerd community is even smaller. But I think that's lovely as well in some ways at times.
Yeah, like it can be, because like with being small, like you can always have like small groups of people that are either very friendly and helpful, or if you're, I find that if I surround myself with very, like, when I used to go to conventions, I used to try and look at all the artists and the different vendors. But
Yeah.
during, if it wasn't for going to those smaller conventions, I wouldn't have started trading as
Yeah.
a vendor. Then, but also I wouldn't have become more creatively stimulative, if you get me. Where it, when you're around so many creative people, it kind of forces you to
Yeah.
start exploring your creativity. So
Yeah.
like that's where I started doing the pixel artwork. Then I started like helping with running events, but I also like I got to meet like so many interesting people. Then it's,
Yeah.
and it's crazy. Then like it's crazy how that works out.
It's the people though, I think, that really make it, because like we've been doing with Straight Outta Kanto and Nerd to Know Media, we've been doing online panels and stuff like that, and there's talk to doing future online panels. And even with just say the 4 or 5 or 6 of us, like in a Zoom broadcasting live, it's different to being in a in a convention hotel room with like 90 other people feeding off each other's energy and kind of shouting up ideas and interacting. Or then even just, when you're walking around, say like an artist alley, and you like look at someone's table and there's other people looking at the table, then he's all just start talking and stuff, and you just the interactions. That's the thing I miss the most about conventions. Like, it's all very well and good to be able to carry on, say, selling your art online or selling your merch online, or replicating panels online through YouTube, but it's just the interactions, man.
Yeah, it's the natural random encounters that like really make it.
Random. Oh, the randomers. Or even just, do you know what I miss? And I never thought I'd miss this, right? I miss going to the bathroom at a convention and not being able to get in to use the toilet for what it's actually meant for, because there's a bunch of teenagers changing into cosplay. Like, really long, complicated, detailed cosplay. And I'm like, I actually need to be here, and you're just putting on a wig. Can you not do that outside? I never thought I'd miss that, but I do.
It's like, I don't want people to see me without the full costume on. It's like,
I appreciate that, but my bladder is about to explode like Grandpa Simpson's.
Yeah.
Let me in. Or do you know what's even worse? If you actually manage to get to the toilet in a convention, being the only person in the toilet, like peeing or something, and everybody's just at the like makeup or at the sinks, and they're like, oh my god, you hear someone peeing, and it's like, oh no, someone using the toilet for not just
for its actual purpose.
Dressing room. Yeah, it's mad. That's one of the things I used to hate about conventions, but you know what? I think I'd take that times 1,000 if we could get them back.
It's the little things that do make it, like, as I said,
completely.
like the random like encounters, like, or did it actually randomly coming across like someone and then striking up a conversation that turns into a friendship that ends up lasting. It's crazy how it works out. But I mean, like,
It's
obviously,
so
like
weird.
like all of us, like, yourself more so than like I'm a Pokemon fan, but like you're a super fan. I say that because, like, obviously, you went out your way to make a blog. You also went out your way to make a fan page on Facebook that many people in Ireland are a part of, myself included. But I mean, like, it's one of those things. Like, Pokemon has a unique effect as well, where it can just bring people together.
Like, it's a very unifying kind of fandom, because I think it all goes back to the nostalgia factor. Like, that's the whole thing about nostalgia, and the same with things like Yu-Gi-Oh, Digimon, Power Rangers, Beyblade, whatever kind of fandom you're in from your childhood. It all kind of stems from childhood. And it's interesting because one of the things I've been doing a lot this corona lockdown, because to be honest, I know I've been doing the work with the podcast and stuff, but that's kind of set stuff that I have to do. Like, I haven't really drawn or written any songs or done anything kind of creative, because it's just, and it's the same with a lot of people, they're actually finding all this free time and lockdown stuff very hard with regards for creativity. So one of the things, I'm like, I can't just sit around doing nothing all day. I've been doing a load of courses, and I found these free courses online with like this Japanese university, like a proper Japanese university in Japan, like the weebiest weeb who ever weebed, like, and it's like KO University, and it's really cool because they had like this Japanese subculture like course all about like visual K and moe and yaoi and like Dragon Ball Z and all sorts of mad things. And I'm there like, this is heaven. Like, I actually paid like for the certificate, so I could just have that certificate, proof that I'm the weebiest weeb who ever weebed. But one of the literally, like, it's like, I'm gonna be more Japanese than the Japanese. But it's cool because they were talking about how people's love of Japan usually stems back to something like an anime or a manga from their childhood. And the point of the course, they were like, we want people to appreciate Japan for Japan. And they were like, oh, and a lot of the time we talk to people about, why do you love Japan? You're not from Japan. Why do you want to be more Japanese than the Japanese? It's like, what's with the waifu pillow? What's with the kimono and tatami mats in your like Dublin apartment? And they're like, it all comes back to nostalgia. It all comes back to their childhood. And for me, definitely that was Pokemon, like
Yeah,
number one, hands
well,
down.
without a doubt. Don't know, like, cause like, regardless what generation you're into, what game you got into, don't know, or even what series of the show you got into, don't know, it was just a group of people that genuinely love Pokemon, don't know,
Hmm.
for as a whole. It's
Hmm.
fantastic because like it's yeah, it's allowed people to come up with their own theories, their own their own fanfics or otherwise. Dunno. It's like or scenarios that they wish probably
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah, it's as much a creative outlet as it is a social outlet. Like, because obviously there's like the video games and the trading card games, and then people meet together to play that. Then of course there's the anime and there's the movies and there's the debates online about that. But then there's also the fan art. Like, I know yourself, you do some absolutely top class that pixel bead stuff. Like, I could never do that. That's brilliant. But then like I'd do a lot of the darker kind of Pokemon,
Mm.
creepypasta kind of fan art stuff. And then there's people online who do, like, have you seen the videos of like someone has like 3D rendered like virtual reality Pokemon into everyday life? So it's gone from people just, oh, I'm going to draw a picture of a Charizard, to people fully rendering proper Pokemon and like placing them in real world scenarios and stuff like that. It's so cool. Like, it's just, oh, it's just one of those things. Like, there was a really cool one where someone just took like a video of their sitting room, but there was like a fish tank in their sitting room, and there was just like a full on Gyarados in the fish tank. And I'm like, someone actually, you,
Took
but the creativity and the knowledge and skill set behind physically making that happen,
yeah.
even though, I think that's what's great about Pokemon, other than the social aspect and the nostalgia aspect. It is a great outlet.
It's great inspiration for people because like dunno,
Mm,
when people see like either if they play the video games or if they see the anime, it it does inspire people to be creative and also to strive to better themselves in order to better convey what they want to do, whether it be like I want to be the next person that is on the team that builds the next Pokemon game, or I want to be the next artist that works on the TV show,
mm,
or
mm,
any any different asset of it. Don't know,
yeah.
but also the strongest thing that they convey is friendship. Uh,
Yeah.
like it's been heavily like put forward that it's like dunno, it's about friendship and persevering over things, and
Yeah.
it's it's no truer than with what inspires people to do, like be more creative, be more free about doing things, interacting with people, dunno, like fighting, like doing that kind of stuff. But yeah, it just gives you a lot of freedom, and yeah, Pokemon is just good.
It's
Like
deadly. And you know what you were saying about the friendship thing and how it's really positive? It's actually funny because like Pope John Paul II or something in the 90s actually came out and said, listen, stop this Catholic backlash against Pokemon. It actually promotes friendship, hard work, and perseverance. So
yeah,
the Pope agrees with you, Foxy.
yeah. Don't
He
know,
actually, it's so funny though, but it actually had like the Vatican seal of approval. This is how big Pokemon goes. This isn't just like, say, like Shinchan or Card Captors or something, some kind of obscure.
well, Shin-Chan shouldn't have been on TV to begin with.
I love Shinchan. Oh my god,
I love him too, but like, no, he should not have been on a kids daytime show.
RTE2, like what was that kids
The Den,
RTE2, like
the Den,
Den Network or something on Saturday mornings? I used to watch that. It was gas.
yeah,
Oh
them
my god!
too.
But you see, that all that kind of golden age of the early to mid 2000s, like Japanese cartoons, like say Beyblade, Card Captors, Sailor Moon, coming over to the West was total gateway drug to
Oh yeah,
Japan, and then hardcore anime and manga and stuff. I don't know about yourself, like there really was like a golden era of like Japanese cartoons making it over to the West, and obviously being subbed and dubbed and all that. But it was just, they can't replicate that era, Niall. They can't.
no, it's shocking the amount of like shows that actually did manage to cross over and
Yes.
hit us over here. Then as kids, when you actually think back on it, it's like, damn, then like the shows that are out there. Like, you had Pokemon, Digimon, like Beyblade, Sailor Moon, Dragon Ball. You had all these shows that like crossed over and were on your TV, and just like
Yeah.
this is different for some reason, and
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm really drawn to this. Don't know.
Nothing to do with the big titty anime girl shooting magical stars out of various orifices. Totally nothing to do with that.
That came later. That came later.
But you know what's funny? At the start of the lockdown, there, I started rewatching. I like rewatched like the first 6 seasons of South Park, and then I was just like, this is just too much South Park. But it was really funny because, like, in season 3, the Shin Pokemon episode, and it's
Yes.
like South Park in and of itself is a time capsule. But then
Yeah.
to have the episode about Pokemon as it was coming out, like, also, it's like a time capsule within a time capsule, because it's like they were just parodying something, which was, because the way with South Park, they take the piss out of something each week and it's newsworthy, then it kind of goes away. But
Yeah.
then, like, Pokemon never went away, so they took the piss out of something that actually did what a lot of shows and a lot of mediums kind of couldn't do, and that was like withstand the test of time. And I
Yeah.
think one of the reasons why Pokemon kind of stands the test of time generally is because it doesn't do this as much as, say, the Potter books, but I think Pokemon ages with the player and with the audience, and the franchise has been very aware of that,
Very
of the
subtlety.
nostalgia
Very
factor.
subtle that it ages. Because I
Yeah.
mean, like, for years we were just like, "Dunno, Ash hasn't fucking aged. He hasn't aged."
That's because he died in episode 1.
Yeah, like that was the theory. But realistically, like they actually have been aging him just very subtly. He was getting
Yeah.
taller, and he was getting like leaner, and then like he was getting much stronger.
Yeah.
If we were led to believe. But like it's,
But
and then they decided to go with new direction and reboot. Like a soft
yeah.
reboot.
Yeah. But even just with things with regards, even within the games, it's like Game Freak are very aware that their audience isn't just, say, like 8, 9, 10, 11, 12-year-olds. It is going to be the adults who were
Mm.
once kids playing it first time round. And even, like, I keep harping on about this, but it's so true. I don't know if you've played Omega Ruby or Alpha Sapphire at all.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes, I
with the guy going on about his mortgage and complaining about his kids and really in debt and stuff like that. Like, that game was made for kind of millennials, to be
Yep.
honest, I think. And even and even just with the humor and some of the darkness and some of the Easter eggs that goes into the Pokemon games, it's like you'd miss that when you were a kid, because I never really got the whole Lavender Town thing until I was older and read about it online and stuff like that. Or,
Yeah.
little subtle things, even from the early games, or the fact that, like, the game corner in Celadon City is based in a pachinko parlor, and pachinko parlors in Japan have a little shop around the corner associated to them where you can bring all the little pachinko balls and exchange it for prizes, because
Yeah.
for pachinko parlors to be legally open, they can't do prize exchanges on the premises, and that's
Yeah,
just
because
the game
gambling is
corner.
illegal,
And
so it's the loophole around
yeah,
that. Dunno.
yeah, but even with the way, even say, like, in Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire in Mobile City, just speaking of the game corner, the way that parents complained about the gambling in Pokemon, and then the little character who made the game corner in the game was like, oh, I'm standing outside my shuttered shop. All I wanted to do was make people happy, but parents keep complaining that I'm corrupting their children. Little kind of things like that, or even
Yeah.
the fact that Professor Kukui is called Professor Kukui, which in Japanese means handsome. So he's
Mm.
Professor Handsome, and he's shirtless, and all throughout the Sun and Moon games, they're like, don't you ever put on a shirt?
Like, just having little jabs at itself in the game is like, it shows you how aware
Yeah.
the makers are.
Yeah, they're aware of their franchise, and obviously they have, like, because I remember watching, like, some Pokemon Nintendo Direct thing a couple of years ago, but it was one of the really big ones, and I'm there like, yeah, I'm going to see all the new Pokemon, but it was literally like this Japanese businessman with, like, a big projection behind him of all these graphs and business models, and they're like, and we're going to grow by this, and we're going to do that, and I'm like, this isn't just about Pikachu. Like, they, because I know there's a lot of people that were like, why don't Pokemon do this? Why don't Game Freak do that? Why is this happening? This isn't as good. I wish they'd do this instead. But then when you actually think about it, they're actually a business, and they have to make money at the end of the day.
Mm.
And I think because fans will be approaching it from, like, okay, well, we'd love it if we had this kind of Pokemon and this kind of function. But then when you think about it, Game Freak can't just please like one person. Like
No.
Nintendo has to sell products. They have to. Now I do think things are going a bit too money heavy with Game Freak and Nintendo stuff, but they have to please a lot of people. They have to please the nostalgia whores. They have to please the new fans. They have to please the children. It's like trying to find a balance. It's probably an inconvenience for Nintendo and Game Freak that they have such a dedicated following, because it's not just like they can bring out a new game completely anonymously, either it sells or it flops and that's it. Like they've built up a legacy, and unfortunately through the media, whatever about my own opinion and the fan bases, it's a legacy that's kind of been disintegrating the last few years. So they've got to deal with that while still bringing out new things, and then while adapting to the changes in the industry itself.
Yeah.
And now we're in a global recession,
Like it's they do, as you said, they have to like they have to appease like a lot of people in the process. Otherwise, there is no franchise, and otherwise, like they can't continue to prosper. But at the same time, they can't also forget
No.
what got them there in the first place, which was the fans. The fans is what like latched onto it and said, "This is ours. We want more. Here's our money."
Yeah.
But like obviously, like they're not gonna appeal to everyone. Where like, all right, we're gonna satisfy everyone by just giving you everything all of a sudden. No, we have to
No.
wait for it. Unfortunately, like whether we like it or not. Like that
Gen
means
4
that
remake.
I was about to say we're
Gen
not gonna
4
get like the
remake.
remakes that we want, or like the certain tweaks to the gameplay mechanics, or a different story. Like it's not gonna happen overnight. And
And it's funny because, like, sorry to cut across you, but you know what, the way you were just saying about gameplay mechanics there and stuff, and people wanting a different story, they did that with Sun and Moon for the first time in the history of Pokemon. They actually like changed how the game is done, and the backlash was horrendous.
yeah, because
When they were like,
what people
brought in the
thought they
child.
wanted wasn't what they wanted.
Yeah, the Game Freak listened to them, gave them a game that differed from the norm, and people were like, I hate this, I don't like this, I don't want this is bad. And then they brought back the original format kind of in Sword and Shield, and then people are like, this is boring, I hate this. And it's like, you don't know what you want.
We're just spoiled children. Like just we want everything. Want everything. But what about this? We don't like that. But we still want that anyway.
Yeah. I think the toxicity of some of the fan bases, because as much as there's love for Pokemon, there's also the other side of the coin, and it's a really toxic fan base. And I know, you know yourself in the Pokemon Fan Club Ireland last summer, I think it was it? No, it was kind of more, I suppose, last summer, autumn. Just like
yeah,
I
it was
had
coming
to,
into
like,
the winter.
it was coming into the winter. It was just after autumn. I actually, like, like, I run a very relaxed group. If you want to make non-PC jokes, if you want to shit post, if you want to politely troll each other from a place of nerdly banter and love, that's fine. I don't mind spoilers. Like, it's a really relaxed group. Like, but I kicked people out. Like, literally, it just turned really nasty. And then it wasn't a bad thing in some ways, because like it made me a bit more aware of, okay, well, maybe I shouldn't be so quick to maybe, because like I'd be very like, all these changes are grand, it's no problem, you know what I mean? Like, everybody was complaining, it made me more aware, having discussion, like what I'm saying is having the discussions in the group about what people genuinely didn't like about the new games or what they were worried about, made me more aware as a gamer of other gamers' opinions. And
yeah,
that
the
was
fact
grand.
that like
Don't
both
be
of
wrong.
them, sorry, cutting across you, like it's fair to have like both sides of the coin,
Yeah.
because if you're constantly is thinking one way, then
Yeah.
you're not gonna like know of the stuff that's
Yeah.
wrong, and you don't realize it. Whereas like if you have both sides of the coin, you have a better chance of making your decision about like what you
Yeah.
like and what you don't like.
Yeah, and that's why chatting with people in the group and allowing, like, me and a few other people were very much on the, anybody complaining about the new Sword and Shield games, they're just kind of complaining for the sake of complaining. But then when we were posting that, other people were countering with, everything's wrong with Sword and Shield. But then, like I was saying, there's the people in the middle who are like, look, come on, this is what we're worried about. And then you'd engage, and then you'd kind of fight it out, and then you'd both see each other's sides of the story. But then there was just some people who were just really toxic and not open. Because even I
Yeah,
was like, okay,
like
well, maybe I shouldn't be so quick to force my opinion. I'm an admin. I should be impartial. I shouldn't really be.
mm,
I am allowed to have an opinion, but maybe listen to everyone's opinion. So I felt like I learned from that situation. Just from an admin, it's just what we were talking about before the show about professionalism. I'm like, okay, look, I'm running this group. I can't be like I can express an opinion, but I can't be putting down like one entire,
yeah,
demographic of the group.
like it's not fair to like, okay, like they don't want to budge on their opinions. That's fine. Then
Yeah.
like we can agree to disagree, but
Mm.
it's just as long as it's done in a mutually respectful way. Then
Which it
no,
wasn't
yeah, it
always
wasn't
last year.
always,
It got really
unfortunately.
bad. Yeah, but it was one of those things where I don't think it wasn't just within my group, because we're all kind of like, it's a very small group, and I've had people come to me over the years going, why don't you open it up a bit? I can make this group huge. And I'm like, but I don't want it huge. I want it like like it's for the few small people in Ireland that really love Pokemon. Like I
Yeah,
think once you start opening up groups to like American and international audiences and stuff like that, then you're going to lose the community spirit of the Pokemon loving con-going community, and you're just going to open yourself up to a big dumping ground for spam and stuff. So
yeah,
we're all kind of like, I know it sounds cheesy to say family, but I care very much about the members of the group, and I'd like to think it's a place where they can kind of be free to kind of just post like, oh, Stephen Stone is my waifu, or oh yeah, I like, I'm a 30-year-old man, but I just bought a Pikachu teddy and I'm thrilled about it, that kind of thing. But then like there was just some people in the group, and then in other groups and on other pages, that were just like automatically like, this is,
yeah.
oh, just so toxic. And it was just about Sword and Shield, and it was entirely like,
It was just
it was
slating
it was
that
just it was like it
that
was
thing.
like they were completely blinkered. Like they weren't open to any. They were just like, you are a shill. Game Freak are bad. Game Freak lied to us, and we'd be like, okay, what did they lie about?
We don't like
Game Freak is
change.
bad. Oh my god, that's what it amounted to. And it was the same, like even on other groups, because yourself, if you're a
Mm.
fan of something, you're on different pages, you're in different groups, and it was just, I was seeing the same thing that across the board. Game Freak lied, and I'm like, what did they lie about? I'm not being smart with you or being cheeky. I
Yeah,
just
like
genuinely want to know what did they lie about. But no one was ever able to give me an answer. So, like I said, some people were very clear with me and very direct, saying, look, this is what I'm unhappy about with the new things. This is why I'm no longer a fan. This is why they're losing me. And I'm like, I hear that. That's actually a fair point.
yeah.
But then the Game Freak lied to me people. They couldn't give you an answer. And it's like,
I'm
can
asking
I
for
have
someone
an
to give me a
answer?
clear reason why you have the opinion you have. It like
Yeah.
it's
It's
being
not even the
fair.
opinion. It's just the statement that they were like, hang on. Sorry, my stomach is absolutely growling. I've got like this most gorgeous Chinese, and I'm like, my body's like resisting. Sorry. No, the thing is, right, like, it's the fact that they kept saying Game Freak lied to us as a statement, right? It wasn't even, oh, it's my opinion, I feel lied to. It was just this blanket statement across all of last year. Game Freak lied to us, and I'm like, what about? And no one's ever been able to tell me. But I did hear this weird rumor that would kind of make sense, right? So it's about Sword and Shield, and there was some mad thing. It was someone who was like an insider who was like,
Yeah,
oh
probably like a
yeah,
producer or something like that.
yeah, sure. I don't know how much I believe this, but it is interesting sometimes to hear fan rumors. But the thing is, they were like, so there was Sword and Shield were made, but then something crashed and the entire game got destroyed really close to the original deadline. And if they wanted to keep the deadline, they could only produce the game like at reduced capacity with reduced features, and that they were going to rush the game out as it was, and then just add on all the rest of the stuff later,
Yeah.
which is why we're getting the 2 expansion packs, which is fair
Hmm.
enough. Well, no, I don't know if that's fair enough. It's just something to think about. I don't know if I believe it, but it would make sense as to why
Like
we're getting.
it's understandable for a game. Like, okay, then we were planning on bringing it out, say October, but
Mm,
unfortunately, due to circumstances, look, we need to take the extra time in order to fix everything. Then so we're gonna be pushing it back until at least January. Dunno, like that'd be fair. I'd rather a company take the time to make sure that it's right rather than release a game that's bugged to hell. Dunno, so
Yeah, see, I think that's what a lot of people are kind of pissed about with Game Freak in the last few years. They're like rushing out game year after year after year after year, regardless of quality, just to keep meeting those, I suppose, those quarterly targets.
yeah,
Which
like which is unfair. Like it's unfair to them because they're being held at such a high standard that's like
oh yeah,
there's no way they could possibly like meet that year in year out. You're gonna have to eventually just take a step back and say, look, right, we're gonna take a year or 2 years away and properly reevaluate where we see this franchise going in
the
terms
fans will never
of the
allow that.
games. That's
Sorry
that's
to
the
cut across you, but
but
no
that's the
one will
problem.
allow that.
But
The
that
same people who want the quality will never allow that.
but that in turn is the problem. Then it's a double. It's a, it goes both ways. Then if you want something of high quality, then you have to allow us the time to take then like to take the time and actually reevaluate what's needed and what's not
Yeah.
anymore.
But you know what I always wonder? I always wonder, like, with regards to the just the amount of money that they will be making, right? How come they don't have? Because okay, whatever about time, you can't make more time, but you can use your vast, giant piles of money to pay people who could work around the clock or work in shifts or stuff. Like I don't like because one of the things with Sword and Shield, they were like, oh, we were too understaffed, and I'm like, you're Game Freak, you're huge, like you make so much money. This is Nintendo. How can you be understaffed? Like, do you know what I mean? Just kind of weird little things like that. And I'm like, okay, surely there's billions of people who would actually be wanting to work with you as well as actually, having the necessary skills to work with you. Like,
But at the same
how can
time,
you?
it's cost cutting as well on the company's
Yeah,
standpoint, and Nintendo as well because they're the one that pay the
yeah.
bills. So
That's it as well, because like recently I was trying to because the way this kind of actually annoyed me about Pokemon recently. I was because for years, if you wanted to battle someone online, you just turned on your Nintendo, turned on like the wireless function or something, and then just battled a trainer across the globe, and it was really cool. They don't allow you to do that anymore. You have to pay like a €20 subscription fee for the year to like Nintendo or something if you want to use one of the most basic core features of Pokemon. I only found that out at the start of lockdown when I was trying to organize a bloody tournament within the Pokemon fan club group for everybody across the board.
which is
And
wrong
I
to
couldn't
do.
do it. And I'm like, oh, I can't even play in my own bloody Pokemon tournament because I actually hadn't done that yet on the Switch with Sword and Shield, and I didn't actually know that you needed to like pay more money to use a function that for years has been free within the Pokemon games. It's like, okay,
Yeah, like things like that is what like it can sour a lot of like hardcore fans because like it's a basic mechanic that's been around for years, and now you're expecting people to pay. It's just like
yeah.
no, you can't do
Now
that.
again, this harps back to the kind of community thing we were talking about, but so I complained about that, and then someone said, well, look, it's actually the rising costs of production and actually physically making the game have like they're astronomical, more so than they were back in the day than say when Gen 1, 2, 3, and 4 and all that, and even 5 and 6 were around. They were like, look, the costs of making games these days, especially for Nintendo Switch and stuff like that, is absolutely huge. The only way that a lot of the companies can actually make back any money is with this subscription fee. And I don't know how much of it I believe, but it would make sense because they were like a lot of games are actually running at a loss, even if the figures look great, because just apparently just the cost of it is enormous.
Yeah, for the likes of that, like I would have no problem if someone like from the company actually like explained it in fairly simple detail why this is needed, why
Mm,
it's essential, and it's like then if it's a fair case, then that's fine, then absolutely fine. But if it's just a case where they're doing it, it's like so they can try and make more money on top of a game that's already rising
yeah,
in price, it's not fair to the
no,
hardcore fan. Well,
definitely not. But it's again, it's all that kind of, it all comes back to how dedicated you are to your fandom, how now I'm in it for the long run. Do you know what? Like, I might
Yeah,
as
yeah.
well just like hook my ATM account straight up to Game Freak. I'm probably gonna blindly follow them into the dark. But it does come back to how much are you a fan? Are you willing to put up with this kind of thing? And is this
Mm.
kind of thing just fair? Like, I think a lot of us got used to, like, I hate, right? This sounds really bad, but I hate when younger people who only got into Pokemon in the last few years purely because that's the age they were at when they got into it. But I hate when younger people get into it and then complain about the functions. And I'm like, I'm from Gen 1. I played Pokemon Red, like,
Yeah.
on this tiny little Nintendo, which had, like, no lights on it. I had no functions. We had no post game. We had to grind, properly grind. Like, you
Yeah.
don't know the true me. Like, there was no shared XP across,
Oh no.
all 6 Pokemon. There was none of that. If you wanted a Pokemon to be of, Elite Four beating levels, you had to grind. Like, that's actually one of the reasons. Do you remember a few years ago for the Nintendo 3DS, they re-released the original games, Red, Blue, and
Yes.
Yellow, and Crystal and all. And I'm like, I actually never got to play Crystal when I was a child, even though I did play Gold and Silver. And I was literally just there, like, I got to the Elite Four and I'm like, oh yeah, no, fuck this, man. Like,
Can't do it.
the
Can't do it.
grind. Maybe when I was 9 years old and had a 3-month summer holiday with nothing else to do and didn't know any better. But, like,
I mean,
I've been spoiled.
like how much like one little item can make a vast difference in how you play the game. I mean, the XP share is a godsend to people who have played the original games and are continuing to like play the games. It's like XP
Yes,
share is a fucking godsend.
it
Dunno.
is. But you know what, as well, though? Because it's so easy to get your Pokemon leveled up now, it means you're kind of going through the game. Just for myself, I know, is you're going through the game quicker, and it's not as much of a challenge. And even now, I love the fact that you get experience points for defeating Pokemon in the wild now, or for catching Pokemon, because that always really annoyed me. You could spend ages capturing a Pokemon, and
And
all you
no
get out of it,
XP. Dunno, like
yeah,
that was one of
like,
my only gripes about it. It's like
yeah.
why can't I get experience for doing that? But yeah, I still need this Pokemon. Dunno, like I have to
Yeah,
catch it.
and it's one of those things. I think that's a great function, but then you've so much XP, and then there's another thing as well now that they've started doing in recent games where you just lob one Pokeball at them and they're caught, like, and that's it, and you don't even need to do anything else. I kind of I kind of miss the grind a little bit. I think it's gone too far in the other direction. They were trying to make it so player friendly in some ways. I think they've taken some of the challenge out of it, and the fact that the games in general have been lessening in challenge as it goes on.
it,
Yeah,
it's trying to find that nice balance. But
yeah,
like for me, like one of the ways that I still maintain a challenge when I play these games is I don't buy the walkthrough. And
yeah,
reason I
yeah,
don't buy that is because if I have the walkthrough, that's going to tell me where I need to go next.
yeah.
And if I know where I have to go next, then I'm going to get through the game a bit quicker. But
Mhm.
by not having it, it means that I could be lost for so long, like just going through grass and just. But I'm leveling up my Pokemon as I go because I've no choice in
Yeah,
the matter. But by the time I have to get to the end, I feel better about it because I've grinded before I even knew where I had to go.
yeah. See, that's it as well. And then, do you know what? No one ever really gets lost in Pokemon anymore, though. Like, come on, Rock Tunnel, Mount Moon. You got lost in there. In the later games, no. It's they're making it too easy on the babies, and the babies are complaining. This
Yeah,
game
it's
is
it,
better.
it's
And I'm like, you don't get an opinion.
the caves are lit up. Don't know. Whereas like when I used to play them, it was like the cave is dark. You need to use flash in order to see in the cave. Don't
But how
know.
many people realistically had Flash back then? Not me. I spent an entire summer in Rock Tunnel once. Like,
Yeah.
literally an entire summer when I was like 10. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, and that's not an exaggeration. I literally spent the entire summer. And it was only because I started playing that Christmas. By the time I eventually got out of Mount Moon, it was like my birthday in February. Then by the time I got from, Cerulean City up to Rock Tunnel, it was the entire summer. It was only coming up to Halloween when I finally got to bloody Lavender Town, and that's like nearly a year's worth of a game. Like, if that's not like value for money, I don't know what is.
Yeah, but Like, obviously, like we could fucking talk on and on like all day. That you obviously have food right in front of you, just waiting to be eaten.
Ah, Chinese! I
So
can't
like,
take any of my own cooking anymore.
so
I
so
can't.
so what I'll do is like we will have you again. Then
Absolutely. And you must
for
come on mine when my microphone comes from
I
China.
shall.
If
Like
it ever comes.
have a future episode with you again, and we can talk more Pokemon and other stuff that we
Brilliant.
didn't actually even talk about. But at the moment, is there anything that you would like to plug while you were on this?
Just Straight Outta Kanto, the Facebook page, the podcast that's up under the Nerd to Know Media umbrella on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, SoundCloud, everywhere. There is huge news coming soon, so do keep your eyes peeled on the Straight Outta Kanto page.
Awesome. And on that note,
Thanks,
like,
Niall.
you're very welcome. On that note, feckin', I've been your host, Fox, aka Foxy. This has been the Foxy Bros podcast. I'd like to thank my guest, the Straight Outta Kanto, for coming on and discussing Pokemon Rambles. And if you like the podcast, please like, share, comment, let us know what you think, let us know what you don't like, what you do like, and what you'd like to hear us talk about in a future episode. And on that note, we'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.